Yay! Facebook world! It's Lori with Artrageous. I'm super excited about today. Okay, before we get started with our live vocal lesson with Delphia, we want to tell you about our arts community on Facebook. So it's our Facebook group called Artrageous Arts Community. We want you to feel encouraged to share whatever projects you're working on. We've seen a lot of really cool things recently. So please keep posting. We love it. We love seeing your content. We love seeing what you're working on. We want to be a part of it, and we are so grateful to be part of your community. And then I wanted to tell you that all of our videos that we are creating are going to be on our website, as well as our Facebook page. So if you missed anything, go to artrageousexperience.com and check out past videos, what's coming up, all of that great stuff. Now, without further ado, Delphia is going to give us a vocal lesson. I'm so excited. Let's go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Delphia, and I am one of the vocalists for the Artrageous troupe. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys today to share with you my art. No, it's not the perfect swipe of liquid eyeliner, although, hey. No, it's singing. Singing is my art. Singing is my passion. I've been doing it forever. And so I've got a couple tips and tricks that I want to share with you guys today. This is for singers of all levels. These are things that, whether you're a beginner or you are a seasoned veteran, these are things we should all know and put into practice. And so we're going to run through some stuff today. And I hope that you're ready. I hope that you're going to do these things with me. We're going to do some exercises. I'm going to explain some voice things. So I'm so excited to be here with you today. So we'll get started. So here's what I was thinking. What's a good way to sort of break down teaching voice? And I broke it up into 4 different sections: breath, body, mind, and soul. And so we're going to go through each of those 4 sections today and sort of unpack a little more within each of those areas. So the first is breath. And as you can see, I'm a little anxious, so I'm a little out of breath. Breath is super important for singing, for, not passing out. It's very important. One of the things that is that people don't often think about or don't often realize as a singer or as a speaker is there's a certain way to breathe. It seems pretty intuitive. In, out, breath. But when you're using your breath as a support system, which I'll get into in just a bit, you need to be breathing a certain way. You need to be breathing the proper way. So one of the things about that breath support is that it needs to come from your solar plexus. And for those of you who do any chakra work, that's our 3rd chakra. The solar plexus is sort of mid-abdomen around the navel area. It's also been referred to, you might have heard it said, as the diaphragm, which is also, it's a medical term within the body. But this area, this is where your support's gonna come from. And so this is where you want to give some breath. The thing about singing or speaking is that it's partially musculature, but it's the flow of breath coming through the larynx, making the vocal cords vibrate. That's what's producing your sound. And so you want to have as strong a breath support as possible in order to support that good tone, to support that good power. And again, that's all going to come from proper breath and your power and support coming from the solar plexus. So what do I mean by proper breathing? Breathing where your shoulders go up and down? No. Breathing where you are expanding outward and inward, that's what you want to achieve. And also, it's not the prettiest, especially if you've been putting on a little bit of weight in isolation, but you want your abdomen to extend a little bit when you're breathing. And so instead of it being that's not what we want. We don't want those shoulders up and down. We want to expand within this solar plexus lung area, because that's where that power is going to come from. So go ahead and do this with me. We're going to take our hands, we're going to put it right over our solar plexus, and I want you to breathe deep, thinking about expanding that area. Here we go. And out. And you should feel it kind of in and out, just that really slight expansion and sort of deflation. Think of it like you've got a balloon in this area, and that's what you want to fill each time you're breathing and pushing it back out. That's sort of the correct way to breathe. Now, I will tell you, in years of singing and years of doing this in middle school and high school, and now professionally, thank you, Artrageous, what I've determined is there are times that I will get out of good habits. That happens to everybody. I think it happens to athletes. I think it happens to artists and painters. Anything that you do with repetition becomes muscle memory, but there is always the potential to get out of practice and get out of good habits. So one of the things I often find is I need to sort of center myself and refocus my breathing. It's imperative, obviously, for good tone and for good support, but it's more than that. I mean, it can serve as a relaxation agent if you're performing or if you're anxious about things. There's a lot that breath can support. So let's, now that we've sort of covered what it is to breathe properly, what it is to where we want our support coming from, we're going to do some exercises. One of the things that I like to do is a really low impact exercise, and they're called lip trills. You might have also heard them called bubbles. It's that's the lip trill or bubble. Now, what's important to remember about this is as long as you've got that good breath support, two things are going to happen, there are two tells to let you know you don't have the proper breath support. First, if you're singing on a note, that pitch is going to suffer. That note is going to go a little flat. It's going to go a little under what you're trying to achieve because you don't have the support to keep it strong and keep it on tone. The second thing, and what's really great about the lip trills, is if you don't have enough breath support, your little motor is just going to stop working. You're not going to keep bubbling any longer. So it's important to do this exercise to really make sure that you're getting the breath support that you need, and it's really low impact on your neck muscles and your vocal cords. So it's a really good one if you're just getting through a cold or if you're trying to, just trying to get your voice warmed up. It's a really great exercise to do. I'll sit in the dressing room before the shows and I'll do my makeup and I will do this exercise. Jarvis and I like to do them a lot together. So it's just a really low impact exercise. So we're going to do this together now. And we're going to do it on a 1, 3, 5, octave, 5, 3, 1. And what that is say we're starting on our first pitch. This one, 1, 3, 5, octave, 5, 3, 1. But we're going to do it with our lip trills. So let's start. Nice deep breath. Now raise it up. And if it looks silly, it's okay. The closest person's 6 feet away. So next one, a little bit higher. And next one. Now, if it gets too high, that's okay. You stop, you go where you're comfortable. And that's what we'll talk about in the next section in body. It's always important to keep yourself tuned in with what your body can do. It's nice to be able to push yourself and to grow as a vocalist, but it's always important to make sure you're not doing anything that's painful or difficult or too damaging. We'll give it one more. What I like to do is just to really make sure that I've got that really good breath support is I will extend that either at the top or at the very bottom as long as I possibly can, just to get myself comfortable with the idea of how much breath do I need to really get through a full phrase. So that's the first exercise I wanted to run through with you guys. Another one you can do is called sirens, and this is really great for sort of just testing where your range is at any given moment or at any given point in the day or any given day. If you're just getting over a cold, again, these exercises will be really good for that, just to sort of give yourself an idea of where is comfortable for me right now, where is safe, where's a kind of a good zone for me to be in. And the thing with the sirens is you can do it just as a vocalization, just as on a vowel sound, or you can do it with the lip trills. And let's do it first with the lip trills just because that's really low impact and it'll give us a sense of where the full breadth of our range is. So you want to start as low as you possibly can. So and as you can see, I started to peter out toward the end. And so that's really just a good idea, a good way to get a sense of where your range is at on any given day. And so we can do those sirens again, not just as a lip trill, but just with our voice. We can do an O, for instance. So, that one always confuses my dogs. They really love that. So that's another way you can do that. And you can do that as many times as you want to sort of extend, see where you're at on your top end, see where you're at on your bottom end. Try it on an O, you can try it on an oo. Let's try it on an oo now. And I even broke a little bit halfway through there because I didn't get a good breath before I started. So that's just a good example of even somebody who does it as often as I do, if you don't keep the good habits in place, you're not going to be able to get the sound that you want. So those are two little exercises that have to do with the breath. And now I want to move into body. Obviously, if you are a drummer or a bass player or a guitarist or even a saxophonist or whatever you play, those are your instruments. But when you're a singer and even when you're a speaker, your body is your instrument. So you have to make sure that you are just this full funnel of sound. One of the things that I have found and that everyone who's on the tour with me can attest to, hydration is key. If we go somewhere and I can get honeydew melon, melon is a really hydrating food. Pineapple is really fantastic for both hydration and just for your throat. There are lots of different tips and tricks that I have found, especially living in New Mexico. When we are in New Mexico, it's very dry here. So you have to drink a lot more water than you're used to. If you are going to have a performance or you're going to be speaking, it's important that you try to avoid foods that are going to dry you out. Try to not have too much caffeine. I can tell you, I'm certainly guilty of this. If you've got several shows or several things you have to do in a day, it's hard to not want to be caffeinated, but another way to kind of combat that is to have maybe green tea, which has that little bit of caffeine in it, but is not as drying as, say, a cup of coffee. Certainly alcohol is incredibly drying, but again, there are ways to combat that by having things like fruit, melon, pineapple, citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruit, even pears. Pears are very hydrating as well, and so there are different things that you can snack on that will really help to get your body hydrated, because it's not just about hydrating our throat. I read an article not too long ago that said drinking liquids does not actually hydrate your voice. What it does is it hydrates your body, and that's super important. Basically, you want your body to be so hydrated that your vocal cords, your vocal folds, those are our little friends that are in our larynx that vibrate and kind of wave back and forth. That's what produces our sound as a singer, as a speaker. You want your whole body hydrated so that those areas are lubricated on their own. So that's a little bit more about your body and why hydration is so important. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier is the idea that you want to make sure that you're operating in a safe, sort of a safe zone for your body. And that might just take practice figuring out what feels comfortable to you, what feels good to you, but it's super important that you never strain, that you never put too much tension in your neck or in your shoulders or in your throat. Anything that feels painful, stop, recenter, figure out how you can approach it differently. Shouting before a performance is never great. Shouting during a performance is never great. Always try to treat your instrument with respect and be kind to it and be careful with it, because you are your instrument. So one of the things that I wanted to address is going on again with that idea of avoiding strain, is you want your body to be relaxed. Now, I can tell you there are some nights that I will get super nervous before a performance, and then you can't help but be tense. And when you're tense, this tenses up, your muscles tense up, and what's beautiful about your body is it's designed to be an instrument. It's designed to project. There's a lot of different resonant conductive bones in your face, in your whole musculature, within your chest cavity. You're designed to be this instrument. So if you've got muscle tension, if you're not treating that body safely or kindly, your body is going to be slightly out of whack, and as a result, your instrument isn't going to be able to do what it's designed to do as easily. So I thought we could do a couple exercises to kind of release some tension in our body. For me, I always have a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, just by virtue of if you've been sitting at a desk or if you're sitting, if you're driving. There's just a lot of tension that we can build up throughout the course of a day. So let's just start with so we're gonna roll our shoulders. I'm just gonna do some really light, just forward for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and let's go back. 1, 2, oh, that I felt a pop there. That's good. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you can do anything that you found, whether it's any yoga stretches that you like, or just stretches in general, just lifting your arms over your head, just to reduce any of that tension or strain that you might have put just by virtue of your daily activities, what you're doing throughout the course of the day. You really want your instrument to be as loose and as free as possible to do what it's designed to do. So another great exercise we're going to do, we're going to look really super weird, and it's so good. I'm so excited. I wish, if you want to take selfies of all of this, that would be great. We're going to do some mouth yoga. Like I said, your mask and the bones and areas of your face, this is where your sound is going to resonate. So once we've got that great breath support coming up, we've got those great hydrated vocal cords that are just happy flapping in the breeze. Now we need to get that sound to be in a great cavern to project it out, almost like a trumpet. You see that horn on the end of a trumpet, that bell, that's what our heads can be. That's what our facial masks can be, but we have to have them open and relaxed enough to do what they need to do. So let's just make some really weird faces. Here we go. We're going to start with some O's, O, into an Ah. Ah, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. Ooh, ooh to an eh. Ooh, eh. Ooh, eh. Ooh, eh. I'm so glad you're doing this with me. I can feel it. I feel that you're all doing this. It's so wonderful. So that's a little bit of mouth yoga. It's just, again, to wake up all of the muscles, to really loosen up. If we're in allergy season here in New Mexico as well, so anything you can do to wake up that musculature, to get blood flow and circulation going, to kind of help wake some cobwebs up and kind of help drain some things out, that's a really good way to do that. So we've done a little bit of our body work. Let's do some vocal work with our body. So, oh yes, okay. So I'm going to tell you about your incredible floating larynx. Go with me on this. So your larynx, that's your voice box. That's where those vocal cords live. That's where as a singer, this is where, or a speaker, this is where it all happens. This is where the magic happens. Well, it's a floating apparatus within your neck. And so as long as the neck muscles are nice and relaxed, your larynx can help have the range that you want to have. Now, when you're trying to sing high, what happens is your vocal cords thin out and stretch. And when you're singing low, they come a little more compact. But also in that, some of the low notes can happen if you're able to loosen the larynx to sit lower in your neck. And so we're going to do something called closed yawns. Is what I call these, and this is something that I do this sort of around the house. It's not something you can do it before a performance, but it's just a good way to sort of be really kind to your larynx and your cords. And so we're gonna sigh with our mouth closed and try to go as low as we can. So. And as you do that, you want to feel like you're lowering this whole, and it's also very relaxing. It's a really kind of chill thing to do. But it helps to lower the larynx and to set it to a place where, I will do this backstage, honestly. If I've sung something super high and we're getting ready to go into a piece next that I have to start in more of my low alto range, I will make this, I'll do this backstage to really lower the larynx, to get it set up to start in that low tone. So that's a trick. Another thing to lower the larynx is, it's kind of I don't know, I call it the gorilla grunt, but it's it's a g that you kind of do a little more with a looser voice, not like a strong like g, but g. This actually lowers the larynx and again sets it up for you to be able to hit more in that low range, wherever it's comfortable for you. So that's the first exercise I wanted to do with the body. The second one, this kind of goes along with that mouth yoga thing, and we're gonna actually grip our chin in order to do this. We're going to show how when you're using proper technique, the mouth changes ever so slightly. It's really more what happens on the inside. The lifting of the soft palate and the hard palate, that's what's going to change your tone for your vowel sounds, and that's what you should be focusing on. Not that you're ever going to, be saying like this, but if you were singing like that, you could still create the same tones and the same vowel sounds. Obviously, your consonants will be a little bit weird, but you can still technically sing with your chin in traction, as it were. So we're going to grab our chin. We're going to do what I'm calling chin grip vowels, and we're going to go ah, e, o, u on the same pitch. So we'll start there. Ah, here we go. I, o. Next. I, o. A little bit higher. I, o. I, o. And see, especially on those ahs and ohs, when you have that chin pulled down, all of the resonance that you need to create sort of that strong, and I'm not singing any stronger between those different vowels, it's just the way the placement is happening within my head, within my mask, within my face. That's where suddenly there's more resonance, there's more power coming. I'm not pushing, I'm giving the same amount of breath support, same amount of control with each of those vowels, but I'm singing the same amount of power, but those ahs and ohs get a little bit bigger just by virtue of having more to resonate, more to kind of bounce off, more sound to bounce off of it on the inside. So those are a couple of those, and you might notice as you do those exercises that you go from what you may have heard of from your chest voice to what is known as your head voice. You may have heard those terms before. Your chest voice is a little bit more what people think of when you think of big belting singing, really strong singing. I don't want to say loud singing because that's not necessarily what it is. It's just a stronger, and a lot of it is because of your placement. So it's resonating more within your chest cavity. That's where that's all of that percolating is happening, and that's where all that power is coming from. Now your head voice is more what you might hear in classical singing, in opera, in some church styles of singing. For me personally, and what I found a lot of vocalists do and really have sort of found the sweet spot is called mixed singing, where it sort of has the power of the chest voice, but it has a little bit more of a head voice quality. So there's not a pushing involved. It's just really a mix of both voices. When I belt really high, for instance, in Dream On is a good example, that high note that I belt, I'm not doing it in chest voice. That could be damaging. It's a really high note, and you've got your vocal cords so stretched at that point to hit that pitch that if you were pushing so much from power, you'd be pushing so much air through that it could cause damage to those already stretched vocal cords. So mixed voice is a really great way to achieve that, in that you are still hitting a pitch, but you're using the tone of a head voice, so not as much air is being pushed up through those vocal cords. Ariana Grande is a good example of somebody who really has a solid handle on mixed singing. A lot of the high notes that she'll hit, she's actually singing in mixed singing, and it's an interesting. For me, it's come with years of experimentation, and if you've got the space and you've got the time, I would encourage you to try to figure out what that feels like. I guess it's the difference between, again, feeling it resonate in your chest, and it's really more where it resonates maybe up here in what's called your mask. And so play around with different notes and different ways to approach those notes. what feels comfortable to you, and again, what feels least amount of strain, that's a great thing to do. Experimentation is key. That's, for me, that's how I've been able to develop the range that I have, and to be able to do a lot of the things that I can do now vocally that I couldn't do several years ago, was just taking the time to experiment with my instrument. So that was some chest voice and head voice. That's some body work. So we've done breath, we've done body, now we're on to mind. Mind it's an important tool. It helps you remember these different techniques and different things that we've talked about. So things to remember when you're singing or speaking is breathing. Obviously, we don't want you to pass out. Good posture, and that's sort of that, feet flat on the floor. You've got sort of your power is coming from your solar plexus. You want an open placement with you don't want to be hunched over. You want your availability for your instrument to really resonate the sound as unencumbered and as easily as possible. And so you want breathing, you want good posture, you want open placement. And so practice. Lori talks about practice a lot. Everybody says, how are you guys so good at what you do? Practice. We never stop thinking that we have achieved, we've reached the end all be all of what we're able to do. We're constantly striving to be better. And so practicing, whether it's a particular music piece or it's these habits, like I talked about, practice is key for muscle memory. Like I said, there are times that my brain or my nerves can get in the way of what I know I need to do as a singer, as a performer. So it's good then if my body can still step in and say, this is how we do this. This is, what we're doing. I step aside, nervous brain, I've got this, and so practicing is key for that muscle memory to be achieved. So as far as, say you have never sung before, or say you're like me and you didn't do it for a long time, and when you got back into it, you're really nervous. Well, we're going to do an exercise for the mind. And this is one that Lori and I like to do, and she talks about it a lot. We're going to do a power pose for confidence. And they have done scientific studies on this, and maybe you're familiar with this. It's called the Wonder Woman pose. So if at any point in time you're feeling anxious, a good way to kind of get that nervous energy out of the way so that the body can step in and do what it's been designed to do. You want to just see if I'm doing this right, Lori. So you feet up, step apart, hands on your hips, and then you look upward. And this is also good if you've got a little bit of neck tension. And just breathe normally, breathing properly, of course. And you hold it for about 10 seconds. That felt pretty good. And then you slowly come back down. And so hopefully that helps to center you, helps to give you a little bit more confidence so that you're able to then go back into some of these techniques that we've worked through, or just if you're getting ready for a performance, that's an option for you to do as well. A lot of it is ritual. It's finding things and not procedure, but just finding things that work for you, that help to calm you, that help to have you feel grounded. Because what we're going to move into now is my last section, which is soul. It's so important, if you are a singer, to remember that you're telling a story or you're conveying a message when you're performing a song. And if you're not, I would encourage you to remember that that's what your gift is for. Your gift is for connecting people through the music and through the vessel that is your voice. You're very special to be able to share that moment with someone, so take it very seriously. So you want to feel each lyric. And when you're telling that story or conveying a message, what I mean by that is, what do you want to feel? Because it has to start within you for it to be authentic. And then what do you want to have your audience or your recipient feel when you're singing a particular song? An example, do you want them to feel love? Do you want them to feel joy? Do you want them to feel hope? Do you want them to feel sadness? Is it a sad piece that you're trying to really draw them in to explore something within themselves? So I thought what we could do is sort of take the idea of good technique and then show you the difference between good technique versus singing with feeling. And first I want to tell you a little story. So the song that we're going to work with is Happy Birthday. And if my mom is watching, it was her birthday yesterday, so I want to wish her a very happy birthday. If you see Pam Bristow O'Keefe in the chat, everyone wish her a happy birthday. It was not great for her to be away from all of her family during this time, but we did the best that we could, and we're going to definitely link up online over the weekend as a full family unit. So happy birthday, Mom. Another birthday story I want to share with you is my grandparents who live in Texas. Every year on their birthdays, I ask them, how do they want happy birthday? And what I mean by that is I will sing happy birthday for them in whatever genre they choose. Options have often included Broadway, jazz, country, gospel. You get the idea. And the thing I want to share with that, the reason I bring this up is I've worked with some singers in the past where they don't quite know how to transition from, say, musical theater into pop or rock singing. And my point to that is it's certain nuances in either your use of vibrato, that's that wavy thing, that's vibrato. You're accenting on certain phrases or syllables. And then, of course, character voicing, and any of those things can really change the genre that you're singing, and that's a class for another day. But I just wanted to bring that up, just so you know, if you are a singer in any particular genre, or if you think you can only sing in one genre, I would encourage you to try other things, because your instrument can do far more than you think it can. So happy birthday is going to be our example today, also because the CDC recommends singing it twice while you wash your hands. So it's so important right now to be happy birthdaying. So we're going to do it with good technique versus singing with feeling. And so the first time we'll just sing it again with all of those things in mind, breath, placement, just trying to have good technique. Okay, so let me pick a key. There we go, we'll go there. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you. Now it sounded nice, it sounded good, it was in tune, I had good breath support, I raised my shoulders a bit more than I should have, so don't do that. But that was good technique. Now the difference between good technique and singing with feeling is wanting to convey. So obviously, Mom, as I imaginary wash my hands right now, I want to convey love. So this is how I would sing happy birthday in a way that conveys love. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mom. Happy birthday to you. So there's a little bit of a difference between just having technique and really putting your emotions into what you're doing. Now there are more nuances to it as far as when I use head voice versus chest voice versus mixed voice, how I use or don't use vibrato. But there's a lot of just finding a conversational way of singing. That's the difference between just good technique and singing with feeling or singing with soul and heart. So that's my lesson for you guys today. I hope that you were able to learn so many things, and I'm super excited. I'm happy to put any of these exercises as a PDF supplement on our website. If you guys have any questions, you can always hit us up. I love to share my passion of singing with you guys. I love to teach, so please hit me up with any questions that you might have. So thanks for watching.
Yay! Yeah, Delphia, everybody. Oh my gosh. 6 feet away, air hug.
It's so hard.
Oh,
it's
no.
so hard.
I just love you. I just loved that whole lesson. My favorite part was the yoga face yoga.
Yeah, we did.
I was actually doing it with you back there, so it was really fun.
We need to all start doing way more face yoga before a show.
And then I also now realize what you're doing backstage, and I'm not like this.
What is that noise she's doing? Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Okay, gorilla and ape noises. Now I
yeah.
know. Okay, she's not crazy.
No, I'm
It's
lowering
just,
my larynx.
Yeah,
It's totally scientific.
Okay, perfect. So you'll see this lesson on our website. We'll post these works in the comments of this video. And share your photos with us. Did you do face yoga? We want to see
face
it.
yoga.
We want to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we'll see you tomorrow. No, today's Friday.
It is.
Well, Friday. Days get so mixed up in this time. We'll see you Monday, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.